Welcome everyone to another open source Linux and low-level live stream here on our channel. You've seen the title and the thumbnail with electricity prices skyrocketing, magnitude over previous records here with France nuclear powers shut off for repair or lack of cooling water and other such surroundings in these crazy times. It's long overdue to fix Wayland DPMS display, something, power management stuff. Actually, we should Google that. Stuff, recurring theme here, the only constant is change and regressions. Stuff that previously worked for decades, DPMS, like X-server and not dust protector, display power management signaling. What did I say? Probably something close to that. What that is for decades since the 90s, Energy Star and saving stuff. You guessed it, that the display switch it off. I think previously signaling this with V and H zinc, vertical and horizontal zinc, being switched off. Oh, this was the wrong one. That's there. And yeah, yada yada. This is also the suspended power off. Anyway, this was the wrong language because of reasons. Anyway, this is another episode of it worked for decades. As long as I can think, it worked in the Xbox server. Probably not sure if that's true, but close. I'm not sure if it worked in 1998, but certainly around the year 2000, it for sure worked. I could research that if this worked with X3 2 or 3, 1998. Anyway, it worked for decades. Like this, one of the stuff, don't touch what ain't broken and so on. So the recurring joke of sound on Linux doesn't work, right? Except for me, usually it did. With ALSA, the only constant is change. ALSA worked perfect. I did 8-track recordings with my own GSMP software 20 years ago, and then people invented Pulse Audio now. Yes, I understand X3, X11, super old, decade old technology, not the latest and greatest. We needed Wayland, but which still isn't feature complete and just works. And one of those things where you really have to wonder, right, why there is this negative undertone on this channel, because constantly we need to spend our time fixing and implementing stuff that worked for decades and should have continued working for decades. This DPMS, right? For years now, I only switched. You know me on my channel. I basically only need to give me a freaking terminal, even on an Hercules monitor or stuff, and I'm kind of sort of happy. At least when I have a cloud network log into some epic thread ripping Ryzen and stuff, cloud and server, and. Yeah, I only switched late because the only constant is change. I'm tired of regression and stuff. I mostly only changed to Wayland for a little bit snappier YouTube live streaming and sort of used it since then. But since then, right, since I switched to Wayland mostly for this YouTube video producing stuff on this channel, this DPMS stuff doesn't work anymore, right? And this is stuff like, what were they thinking? Like, why is this like, sure, basic functionality, rendering displays and blitting displays and a freaking mouse cursor and touch and sure. But then eventually after like major features 1, 2, 3, eventually idle and power management saving, right? So yeah, long story short, of course it doesn't work, just work out of the box with Sway, for example, what a lot of modern low level and just give me freaking tiled terminal window people use these days, right? And yeah. Oh, you're gonna save the planet. Yeah, gonna save the planet with at least spreading the word. Probably something for another video. Anyway, so let's today package this. So for that there is Sway idle. This is this crazy stuff nowadays, right? This was built into the X server. I get it, modularity and X server sucks and security. I mean, security only because it's written in C, right? If it would have been more properly implemented, the X org server and stuff, it could have been amazing for decades, but yeah, see, they totally got that. And sure, monolithic and modular. The crazy stuff is, I want a microkernel, a modular microkernel, and then those folks was give me a performance, and more performance. Single address space, monolithic Linux kernel, and the new Wayland stuff and modularity, and then stuff still doesn't work, right? It might work with some KDE and GNOME Wayland implementation, obviously, but yeah, with Sway and other, it's ironically using the K window manager protocol here, K or KDE idle protocol, So yeah, let's package that for the sole freaking purpose. And honestly, I wasted energy, right? So for the last 2 years, often when I like YouTube live stream or work on Linux and like on this test bed desk here in my office, and I moved back to answering some email or checking something with our Mac software and stuff, this display kept running for obviously too long, right? So yeah, for 2 years, I often switch the display off, but yeah, 2022, you often manually switch your display off because DPMS doesn't by default idle power management. So yeah, let's package that. Let's see, just basic summary, recurring theme here of I hope you learned something, right? And stuff. By the way, do I have already probably Wayland? Oh, no, we have Wayland. Do we have Sway here? Apparently we don't have any idles, so and this probably means we have increasingly for our little Linux distribution, we have increasing users. I wonder if, well, there's so much choice, right? I don't know. We don't have telemetry here in our just raw and secure Linux distribution, so I don't know who is using KDE and GNOME and XFC and stuff. But I wonder how many of our users basically also don't have DPMS, right? Ironically, if you install T2 with my good old-fashioned like X with TVM or TWM, or my other black box of X3 and black box of minimal Xorg stuff, then you actually even have that, right? But yeah, let's package that, Sway idle, and that's the crazy stuff, right? All the 1,000 things you need nowadays. And also, the other things I'm probably restoring XFS and also JFS support, just because maybe I also need to benchmark that. Probably stay tuned, share, like, and subscribe for vintage benchmarking. I actually, famous last words, is that off? That is off. I actually took, can I hold this into the camera? Famous last words, breaking some stuff live on camera. 40 pin IDE cable. Can we? Probably should not do that live. I'm breaking my precious. Oh, come on. Don't we love Pearly? Oh, how can this come out so badly? Yeah, maybe not the smartest thing. Also not. Also, yeah, probably it survived 20 years and then breaking it live on. It's general. So that is my first. It was hanging on the wall because the serial port is damaged. So it was basically modern art at my parents' house. So I stole my first PC board, Elite Group, I think. TR55, whatever, actually. So basically, share, like, and subscribe for some vintage benchmarking. I think I added that. What was it? ECS. I think Elite Group TR5510. That freaking. So this entry is new. Basically added that today. What I want to do, obviously, I have some other things. Wanted to do some benchmarking. What file system is the most usable for vintage and retro systems? Say you have some 201 gigahertz AMD Athlon or stuff and want to use it for some retro stuff. And so this is JFS. That didn't compile because fcommon, the only constant is change and regression. And XFS needs not only INI-H, some INI file parsing header stuff library, but also some user space. What even was that? libu, some. Probably I can see that here. I only say this because modularity, right? libu RCU. We shipped XFS and JFS for decades until JFS, maybe that didn't build. It's an easy fcommon tweak. But yeah, it's also annoying for me that simple stuff like XFS procs need some bloody INI-H, INI file parsing stuff. That's like seriously, what are you freaking thinking? This is so hilarious. But this is obviously tiny, like YOLO, whatever, but that it also freaking needs lib user space RCU stuff. That is really crazy, but I think I swallow that pill in the grand total scheme of things. It doesn't add that much build time, and like until it breaks. You could argue bloat and stuff, but it's somewhat tiny, and probably as long as it builds and doesn't waste my time, I probably ship it just to have some, like, that you don't need to run X4. I never was a fan of X2 and X3 and X4. I have the gut feeling that XFS and JFS, although JFS obviously mostly up and done, although it is maintained in this kind of maybe XFS, but I have to benchmark that is the best choice for vintage and retro stuff. So yeah, I have to benchmark that. And also I probably, as far as I remember, with my first job actually working with some serial display for some casino of all things, when I was 16, I think this bloody display, either the display or some thunderstorm, burns a freaking serial level converter IC, and I googled that already earlier. So the serial ports on this board probably are dead. I need to double check, but at least they were 20 years ago. So also probably some SMD soldering of not other channels, Repair 3 and 486 and Commodore and Amiga, like shellac subscribe for probably some SMD soldering. And obviously we previously dremeled the Sun RTC, whatever that was. It wasn't Dallas, was it? Anyway, because this Dallas obviously is also dead, so probably shellac and subscribe for some Dallas battery soldering and serial level converter SMD soldering as well. Just some random teasing and all the 100 things that eventually could be done if we wanted to do that. But yes, the sway stuff, it's, yes, I mean, how many modular packages do you need, right? For me, this is a little bit silly, to be honest, that this like is not one thing of sway with all the normally needed like basic stuff in there, but 2022 you need a freaking package for background and idle. I don't appreciate it the most. It's, in my opinion, this is too much. I mean, yeah, modularity is nice and stuff, but there's also, in my opinion, a limit of how it's too fine-grained. Of basically nearly everyone probably wants to set the background, and probably nearly everyone wants to have some idle DPMS timer thing. But yeah, so 1.7, it's like, yeah, I mean, how many versions maybe, how many, or is it just compatible? Anyway, it's silly. Hey, it's not even that old. It's only, maybe the crazy stuff is, maybe when was this created? How many texts do they have? Hey, it's 19 issues of all things. It has 9 texts. Did it even exist when I... Okay, it existed for 3 years. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, this is too much. This is similar to, I always hated that the black box and derived projects needed additionally this black box. What was it? Was it also called doc or menu, or was it menu, or? Oh yeah, I think it was freaking menu, wasn't it? Yeah, this was as silly as that here. So that URL. And I have a call. I have a meeting in some minutes, so this live stream will end soon. So what license is that? Maybe I should hurry and see. MIT, hopefully cross. That probably would be me, unfortunately. And who is this also? Do we have here some? Because we compile from source. Okay, optionally, okay, we should have all of that with Ninja. Let's see, is there an author? No author in here. Oh, come on. Is this Sway? Okay, this is Sway. And maybe we copy what we have for Sway. Yeah, but this is a brave new world, not only for me. Although I think this is somehow a little bit old installation. I think NoTech is our new major contributor is right that I should update, like reinstall the stuff. This double copy to double select to copy bug. I have the impression on a new test installed this bug was not there. Probably, oops. Yeah, exactly that. Freaking But that this bug ever existed is silly enough, if it hopefully is fixed. Yeah, but defense console, how silly do you think it is that you need an idle management daemon for freaking Wayland? Is that silly or is it not? And if it is silly, how silly is it? And welcome everyone. XFS is the right error. I think I benchmarked those file systems a little bit. I think JFS was also freaking fast. Don't tell me this needs undefined reference to OR-KDE idle interface. Thank you very much. Why am I not surprised? Sway idle. Do we ship Sway? It is possible that we actually ship Sway. It is possible that the bloody Wayland protocols, okay, maybe the Wayland protocols are out of date, did cross-compile. Let's maybe double check that. Maybe not, because that Amiga could force that. What else? Or do we maybe Wayland itself or both? No, they appear to be up to date. Yeah, that's a bit more than I wanted there. Although we could Wayland utils. Yeah, also coming up next is then microkernel stuff in a new graphics subsystem. They obviously, okay, there is something more majorly, or maybe this is WL roots stuff. Oh, this is building last. Okay, something is slightly out of sync on my local system. It is always possible that this is related to, I mean, it could be just an update in this WL root thing, so it should also have another build priority. But yeah, otherwise, coming up next, microkernel. Of course, step by step, one YouTube live stream at a time. Okay, now there is indeed, although it is actually, wait a second, it is possible that this is, I have some, and you know what, it's only continuous change and regressions. It is possible that this is LTO related. Also, by the way, excuse the street noise, right? Center of Berlin, and I have all windows open, obviously, because it's freaking global climate crisis. And already 13 degrees in the office, so also my meeting, no, 6 minutes. No, it's not on, so yeah, it's not that. But anyway, it built for ARM, cross-compiled of all things. Cache, Sway, idle, and then I need to test that sometime soon. If you wonder, for those people always asking about your microkernel, and obviously I'm aware of that, it's just like, if you maintain a Linux distribution, which pro tip, don't do that, just share, like, and subscribe, and play along at home with T2, just raw and mostly working secure Linux. It's keeping you busy, right? 4,000 packages and the only constant is change is keeping you a little bit busy, in case you didn't expect that. Oh. At best with a typo. Wayland, my understanding is it also works with other window managers, probably. Let's see if this halfway decent here, because it was cross-compiled. It doesn't somehow, the cross-compiled ones somehow don't look them super most complete yet, but I take that already over nothing. So yeah, here we have that another package of our 4,000. Maybe I should try, I was thinking auto importing those from Repology, I think it was. This package repository Repology thing there. But they didn't have all metadata. Maybe I should see if we can math import it from something like Nix OS. They have some somewhat readable the package descriptions. I mean, like auto importing like 5,000 more, right, of all the small little things, just to have some metadata, because basically, as you see here live, it's certainly not my best time spent copy and pasting metadata together for our mostly codeless packages here, 42, which is amazing if you would not only share, like, subscribe, Patreon, or send some patches. And otherwise, I hope you learned something, especially how to save energy. So what we do here already, not only personally, obviously, I try to recycle as much as I can, switch, like, maybe as we enter the stream, switch the light off already. And at home, timer controlled, not smart shit, but old-fashioned heating. But this is not the worst what we have at home. Here in our apartment, we have long distance heat supply stuff from burning trash or some stuff like that in Berlin here. Not ideal, but not the worst. And obviously, this cheap $20. I made even a video 2 years ago, so much to spreading the word. Like 2 AA, of course, rechargeable, battery backed, smart thermostat stuff, not like Internet of shit stuff, like just some bloody, well, smart, not really smart, like good old-fashioned $20. Previous video. Timer to dial the temperature down at night and in the day when we're not there. And in the office, previous video, I mentioned that I probably need to make a more dedicated video. I mentioned a couple of times we now suspend since over a year, maybe 2. I always was afraid of damaging too much or like bugs and stuff, but for 2 years we now auto suspend servers here. Previously we have only started them when we needed them, but they often kept running the whole week and only switched off when people were longer not away, or holidays, weekends and stuff. And so what we do now is those servers like accounting, other developer servers, we auto suspend them all to memory and wake them up with Ethernet magic packets. And of course you could do this way large scale. I even do that with my personal workstation, like my Epic thread-ripping Ryzen 5950X here that I'm live streaming now. Because what happened previously, although I save as much energy as possible, it often kept running most of the week, especially because I went home and continued hacking on some stuff from the couch, like cloud computing to my office. And what I do now is I auto-suspend even that. Currently at midnight, so like leaving me time to still fix some stuff. I'm going home, play with kid and stuff, having dinner with the family and stuff, and then at like 2300 stuff, still fixing some bug. Like yesterday, I actually worked some Perl stuff. And what I will, the next thing what I will try is for my workstation, I will try, and maybe then later if that works for the servers, I will check every 30 minutes if it's in active use. Like often I leave it running in Epic thread ripping through T2 packages, and this is why during the day it's not suspending, because it's compiling T2 obviously. And like also test building, like with link time optimizations, or test building ARM or Itanium just to see what new breakage we have, or like someone tells me on Discord like that is broken or that thing or another. So it's usually test compiling something. And what I will implement next is, because then it obviously keeps idling sometimes an hour or 2, obviously without this bloody Wayland sway idle thing, which is not ideal. What I will do next is I will cron job or systemd check if some user is logged in, like with secure shell, like I'm logged in, like actively, like doing something, or like either if the load is below 1 because it's like not building to 2 anymore and nobody is logged in, right? Then also suspend during the day, not waiting till midnight, which might be hours of idle time, which I have not measured that, but I imagine this ASUS workstation X570 Ryzen 5950X probably idles easily with 20, if not 30, 40. Well, I wouldn't hope. Well, from my experience, probably 20 watt, I guess. Easily, if not more. That's of course not ideal. It's not super bad, but it's less than a SG Octane or P3 probably. But it's not ideal. So yeah, I will try that next instead of suspending at midnight. But now I have a meeting call. So yeah, anyway, just some random thoughts at the end of this energy efficiency stuff. And obviously, I'm also aware that a little bit saving of, previously I always said like save and recycle, although most recycling is a scam. totally aware of that. And also the little saving of like showering less and idling less only saves very little, probably like only 1%. I just read a study some week ago, like last week or so. Like even if everyone saves personally a little bit, it's like 1% of stuff, which barely registers. So obviously there are more major transforms needed for making a real change, and not like showering less or eating less avocados or stuff that obviously is bullshit. But yeah, anyway, we need to do better everywhere. Hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe and let me know if Sway Idle works for you, and otherwise have a good day or night.